One thing we learned during this pandemic was we learned a lot about isolation. All of us were isolated, but seniors felt it acutely. And this was a big problem. And you know what? The problem is still not over. Senior isolation is still a big problem. If you want to know more about this topic, stay tuned. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to SCAN FYI. Yeah, this is a very important topic today. We're talking about senior isolation, and my guest today is Ann Cahill. She is the Director of Recreation for Beacon of Life in Oceanport. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. And, I appreciate you being with me. This is a topic very near and dear to our heart at SCAN because we are always saying that socialization is the antidote, yet it's not quite that simple, is it?
No, it's not. Socialization is actually one of the most important ways for seniors to improve their mental health. For at any time in history, it is the most important way to maintain a good mental health. It is good for your mood. It's good for your cognition. It's good for your memory. We could talk hours on each individual aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's really that big. And what happens is people don't give it enough energy on how important it is. Often it's the last thing people think about. Are they healthy, which is important? Are they all these other things? But they don't talk about what are they doing with themselves during the day, during the evenings. 7 days a week, it's a lot of loneliness.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
You know what, Ann, before we even go any further, let me give you the opportunity to just give yourself a little bit of an introduction, who you are, what are you doing here, who do you work for? Please, just take a moment to do that.
Well, Ann Cahill, I am the recreation supervisor over at Beacon of Life. I run the day center program where we have participants from all over Monmouth County that are part of the Beacon of Life program. So we are a health insurance, but we're all inclusive care. So I run the day program. I also am responsible for the members that even don't come into our program, because socialization isn't just about coming into a center. It's also about how we can help them in their home. So when they're not coming in, how can we help them maintain a social, active lifestyle?
So I think it's fair to say you've got a unique perspective on this because this is what you do.
Yeah, this is what I do. I have a master's degree from the City University in New York in recreation therapy. It's been my passion my entire life. I've always worked in a therapeutic environment, and geriatrics has been my love, my calling. I feel that every day when people come into our community room, it's about making a difference for that moment. A lot of them have impaired cognition. If it wasn't for us, they'd be sitting home often alone. Family often is existing, but sometimes very challenging for them. The ones that are caring for them have a lot of stresses in their lives and need, caregiver support, and we're there for them. Whether or not it's a mental health or physical health or just social, emotional health, when we're there and they're giving, when we provide programs to them, if they have joy for that moment, that's a win for us.
Absolutely.
It is, so.
We kind of titled this topic, this segment today, Isolation Pandemic. And even though the pandemic is, well, maybe it's over, the isolation situation, it's not over. So I'd like you to just talk a little. And you know what? When we talk about isolation, I think a lot of people don't totally understand what we're referring to. So maybe you could explain a little bit.
Isolation, there's a difference, first of all, between being alone and being lonely.
Yes.
Being alone is okay if that's where your comfort level is. But being lonely and being isolated from family and friends, whether or not you still have family or friends even anymore, it creates a tunnel, really, and that gets smaller and smaller for them of who they're connecting to. So isolation brings loneliness, it brings anxiety, it brings depression. The loneliness increases the risk, it increases the risk to live independently in our community, because they stop being able to do things for themselves because they don't have that interaction. People need to feel they have a purpose. And
Yes.
sometimes, it's interesting because at work, when I see somebody at the end of a day before they go home, getting up and giving a hug to somebody a new friend that they made there, that gave them a purpose. And at the end of that day, they know that they were important to somebody, and that helps with the sense of that isolation and that loneliness and decreases it. You need to know that you have somebody that wants you. That's somebody that cares about you.
People who need people. We are pack animals, really, right? We need to be part of a group.
We do, and it's so you're at risk to losing your independence in the community. You're at risk for increased loneliness, anxiety, depression, but you're also at risk for your health issues. Heart disease, stroke, your other mental health issues. Those are all things that increase with this isolation. So obviously, socializing, what does that improve? It decreases the speed of dementia. When you are socializing, you're communicating, you're processing information, you're connecting, the words are coming to you. When you're sitting and you're isolated, you start losing that. The old adage, if you don't use it, you lose it. Well, it's not just physical, but mental health wise as well.
Yes.
So that isolation during the pandemic, I think had caused it was brutal, and it caused long-term effects that are taking us years going to try and repair the damage that did. I think a socialization in our program, for example, or a senior center, or there's a lot of the senior buildings have community centers that are very active, to be able to connect is so important for them. And for senior centers to provide transportation, or for other programs like our program provides transportation as well. That's also a problem for the seniors because they want to get out,
right?
But they can't get out. They don't have family, they don't have friends, they don't drive. They need help being escorted on or off transportation, whether or not it's a car or a bus or whatever. So I think that, all these things add one more layer onto that isolation, and then adds on to all the mental health issues that arise within all the physical problems that arise. When we can get them out, it increases all these areas tenfold, absolutely tenfold.
Well, you were saying before that, isolation has always been an issue, especially for seniors. It didn't just happen when we had a pandemic, but the pandemic really emphasized that this was a big problem.
Yeah.
But for adult children whose parents might be living alone, or who knows where, but your parents are on their own. And I'm thinking, you're not thinking about their socialization. You're thinking, are they eating? Are they healthy? Are they taking their medication?
Mm-hmm.
We're not necessarily thinking, did my mom go out and play cards? Did she see her friends? You don't really think about, I see this, you don't really think about, well, my mother was in the house for, 72 hours. She never left her chair, and all she did was watch TV.
Yeah,
it's not good.
No, it's not good. Socialization improves communication. It absolutely improves communication. Like I said earlier, you have to use words to communicate. And if you keep using words, you use more words. So you have better words. Yeah. And you have a better cache to pull from when you are communicating with people. It also, you said something very important, that, family members or friends can stop in once in a while, but sometimes think about sitting days upon days in your place by yourself, and all you have is the TV, and that's your only connection is this TV. Sometimes I think, also just breaking up the monotony of a day. I always say to some of our seniors, 3:00, before it gets too cold, before it gets too dark or whatever, go out and go for a walk around the block. Go down to your lounge and sit down for a little bit. Go walk and get your mail if that's what it is. You want to break up the monotony of the day. and socializing helps out. Who knows who you're going to bump into when you go down and get your mail?
That's
You know,
true. That's true.
and then the next thing
Yeah.
you know, you've just been talking to somebody for a half an hour. And so they're not sitting in their apartment or their home, their apartment 72 hours without communicating with anybody. And also don't forget, a lot of them have vision issues, hearing issues,
Yeah.
not hearing the phone. They're not able to use the phone properly, hear it. How many times do you hear people say, well, I called, but nobody answered. She didn't answer. He didn't answer. So we still need to get that personal one-on-one contact. We need to make that connection. We need to break up the monotony of the day so they have something to look forward to. The senior centers that have the senior buildings that have community rooms, it's monthly birthday parties, the bingo at night, or during the day, cards and bananagrams, somebody playing bananagrams or whatever. And the next thing you know, there's now everybody in that building is playing, this game, and they're all coming down, so you need to bring recreation up on the priority a little bit, because that's the one that's going to help them feel better. And when you feel better, you also tend to take your medication. When you feel better, you tend to go to your appointments and not miss the doctor's appointments and get help and go to these little other opportunities. So recreation, socialization increases your physical well-being, your mental
Well,
well-being.
your self-esteem, you feel better, you're engaging with other people, you want to look your best, you want to get out. I feel like it's a self-perpetuating situation, whether for the good or the bad. And you want to come over to the good side and get on that treadmill of getting out there.
Self-esteem leads to self-confidence. Self-confidence leads to the ability to get up and go down and take a chance.
Yes.
When you have self-confidence, it's easier to walk into a room of people and say, I want to participate, I want to engage. When you lack self-esteem and lack self-confidence, it makes it much harder for you to get out of that room, out of that apartment. So these little bits of socialization builds one step at a time on the self-esteem, on the self-confidence. And then before you know it, hopefully they've got 2 or 3 things going on every week that they're doing. They're active and they're going someplace, or they're meeting up with friends, or they're going down to the center, or maybe they're even going shopping. The senior centers that provide shopping, that's in itself is a whole social.
Of course, all of it.
Yes.
I mean, just being with another person is, look, we need people. That's the bottom line here. But what would you say, like a bit of advice for people who are home and are, really on the verge of that isolation? They just don't know where to begin, how to get out, what to do. I feel like if you get fearful the more you stay home. You're fearful of going out and engaging. So maybe just a bit of wisdom from your expert perspective.
Well, I think there's a couple of different things. I think one of the things is the community senior programs, they have a lot of resources. They really do. It's not just about having a senior center. They might also have a meal program, which is also a wonderful way to connect and to also benefit from a good hot meal once a day. But they also have the resources in the community. Programs like my program, Beacon of Life, we're an all-inclusive. So we're able to help with the medical issues, the medical management, getting people to appointments, I have people that come once a week. I have people that come 5 times a week. It all depends on their need. At Beacon, it's a need-based program. So you don't have to be all in all the time. But having an organization that can help you manage some of these, you have these visiting community visiting nurse programs as well. They also are filled with resources. So if you're someone at home who has services coming into your home, ask them, what else is there in the community? I'm lonely. I want to get out even once a week just to do something. Is there a shopping program? Is there a what is your interest? Call me. I can connect people.
And you know what?
A little bit goes a long way. You have to get that one little step out.
if you're lucky enough to be in a senior building that has a community room and has events, the first step is opening your door and going out. Try it. You might be
And
surprised.
if you're friends with your neighbor, say, come on, we're going together.
Yeah,
Because
there you go.
then you started out with at least one person.
That's
So if
right.
you have one person in your building, go down to the party, go to one of the events. If you see a bus coming into your apartment building, ask the driver about what program they provide. You know, there's a lot of buses come into these senior buildings for different reasons. Stop and ask the drivers, you know.
There's a lot of things for us to take advantage of, but we have to actually ask. So, you know, what good is sitting alone in your room? All right, guys, you know, go back and watch Cabaret. Get out there, because there's a lot of life left, and you want to take advantage of it.
And it's really, I just have to say, it really is hard to figure out how to make that first step when you haven't done that for a long. It really is very hard. So that's why I say, if you see a bus driver, ask that bus driver. They know about the programs where they're driving people to. They're a wonderful resource, and you can it's a one-on-one connection. And then somebody can reach out to them about the services. So whether or not it's the senior program, a community program, the building shopping trip, our Beacon of Light bus, or whatever, you know, there's a lot of services out there, but the first step is hard.
Yeah. Like so many things in life, the first step.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Anne, I really appreciate your being my guest today. This was a very, it's an important topic. And of course, all of Anne's contact info and Beacon of Life info will be out there. So if anyone wants further information, but you know, just do it. Get out there, because you're going to improve your mental and physical well-being. It's very important. Don't isolate. And the holidays are coming up. So let's do our best to get out there and participate. I know the first step is hard, but
and if you're neighbors with somebody who's, you know, is sitting home alone, knock on their door. Knock on their door and invite them over for a cup of tea, a cookie, or just to sit outside and get some fresh air.
Right. Be a good neighbor. Be a good neighbor.
Be kind. Be kind.
Be kind. That's right. It really, kindness is a big part of it. Yeah.
Be kind. Absolutely.
All right. Well, remember out there, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on SCAN FYI. Bye, everyone. And thank you, Anne.
Thank you so much. It was really great.